And you don't, really, do you need things like that for somebody who the way they learn the game is through making characters? Then yeah, because that if you're taking something that somebody really loves and you're changing it, giving them that bridge kind of eases the pain a little bit. Because I remember when that supplement came out, when 3rd edition came out, looking at it and going, "What in the hell is going on?" Well, that now everything's like, now I don't have this power; it's a feat, and I have to buy it, and all this other stuff. It was really foreign to me.
Well, technically, the conversion document was for the living campaigns because those characters, all had to be on the straight and narrow.
They had to be official.
But hey,
are there any current living campaigns going on?
Official?
Official ones.
I thought the Realms had one.
There is a living Forgotten Realms, but I don't know right now about its survivability.
With the advent of 5th edition is what you're talking about?
Yeah, I don't know what its status is.
Here's a Rokugan is still going on, although Rob Hobart, who is the previous driving force behind
yes.
He decided after, 7 years of doing this, that he would rather spend time focusing on his family.
Yes.
So
apparently he was doing nothing but Heroes of Rokugan.
Well, because I think those living campaigns are really, I think those are good ways to learn a game, because you're getting you go to a con or whatever, and you're getting a lot of exposure to different types of players, and you may find little things that you've done wrong here and there, or better ways to do it. Just
the first time that we ever did Heroes of Rokugan
was the first time you guys played L5R.
Was the first time we played L5R. You had previous knowledge of the second, or it was first.
I was still going off original edition. Yeah. I mean, there was I think a revised rule book that came out, just corrected errata.
As I recall, Rob,
that's because I bought the first one. They came out with that.
But Hobart ran that game for us, if you remember.
Did he really?
That was him.
Huh.
And I remember at the end of it, you ended up getting to an Ayajitsu duel.
Yes.
And he actually...
With the guy that seriously outranked me.
Right, and you ended up... And essentially, it was an honor thing that he insulted the guy's honor, so this duel was...
He had it coming.
It was a whole mechanic behind it. And he actually walked us through it, because you said, I haven't done this since first edition game.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, it's completely different. And I'll show you. And it was at a con game. It was after the whole adventure was over.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was infringing on the time. We had some time left, and he walked us through this whole process, which was really nice. And like you said, it was something where we could use that experience, taking it to our own game.
Yes.
From a con game.
I had never used the Ajitsu duels before because it didn't really make sense to me.
What about the at Gen Con a few years ago? We did was it called the D&D Open?
You're talking about the D&D for cash, where we ended up getting trounced.
Yes, by a bunch of spellcasters.
We learned our lesson on that one, didn't we?
Certainly did.
I mean,
certainly did.
There's no better way to learn than to sit down, grab your character, and play.
I remember Deuce was sitting in for you.
Yeah.
And because that was the year you guys did
Blood Bowl.
Oh, I thought you were in a painting contest or something.
No, not that. No.
You know what that felt like to me? That felt like going into a player versus player as a
on an
noob.
MMO. Yeah.
You guys went in, for fun and for frivolity's sake.
We were doing it for fun. We did it where I realized after the fact that what our mistake was.
You made your characters in front of the other guys.
Well, it was you picked pre-gen characters.
Yes, right? It was the iconic characters from the art book, the artwork from the book.
Yeah. And so we were like, okay, I'm going to play this, and I'm going to play this, and those guys were just sitting there watching us choose what we were going to do, and they were like, okay, then we're going to play these spellcasters, because the way we were set up, it was like an arena, and we came out of one end and they came out of another, and to close that gap to be able to get into melee,
we had made the classic D&D party.
Yes,
blunder.
We had a rogue, a ranger, a fighter, and a cleric.
Right, and they essentially carpet bombed us to death.
Yes, with
it's like an amateur walking up to a table of sharks at Texas Hold'em.
Exactly. That's exactly how that felt. That's exactly how that felt.
And I remember feeling really like this tall.
And they were thinking a bunch of tourists.
Yeah.
Right, and they ended up being like in the running for the cash because of that episode.
You guys essentially gave them a buy. Good job.
I don't even think we touched any of them.
No, we didn't, because I was playing a fighter.
Yeah,
and I couldn't get anywhere near them.
I think the only I was playing a barbarian, and I got mostly to them. I think Mike, you were playing a rogue or something.
I remember being caught in.
We were caught in something.
They hit us with like a web spell and a entangle spell,
and the tentacles and all that stuff.
Yeah,
they really screwed us over. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Sean, how do you like to learn games?
Hold the DM's hand.
Have him walk you through it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't play enough to sit down and learn something because I don't own any of the books. so I don't have a chance to do it. So
this year at Gen Con, we need to sign up for some games that we're not familiar with, and you'll see it opens your eyes, and they also run demos on the
but I don't mind, sitting here, but I don't play anywhere else. You guys are the only guys I play with, so when I sit down, it's been that way since day one for me.
You don't know any different. So
I don't know any different, and that's just how I've always done it.
We should have Sean run a game.
Not happening.
No, you go into Gen Con just total bluff. You know exactly what you're doing, and then just make it all up as you go along. But have it be like a 3-5 D&D game.
That would be more like, hey Dan, pick a number between 1 and 10.
Yeah, that would be the
you got it.
Screw you. Something that people would die to play, like a Serenity game.
Oh,
because those get picked up quick.
Yeah, but you might get
one or two
hurt
of them.
though. You might get
and
hurt.
You start running this game, and they're like, "This guy doesn't know how to run this game."
There'd be a mob chasing you through the halls.
Protection.
And then when it's all over and you're filling out your GM cards, you'd be like, "Yeah, I'm not even paying for my room now."
Thanks for coming, guys.
Gotcha.
Probably would be cheaper for us to sign up and run a game and just show up, and when the guys get there, just say, "All right, look, I just did this so I could get a free hotel room." So I'll tell you what.
In a second.
I know they would.
But I was going to say, $4 or $5 to play.
Just give them some free stuff. Give them some old D&D books.
Yeah, that's old D&D books.
Here's some crap.
There's some crap, dude.
There's some crap from my basement.
Not only are you getting into Gen Con for free, but you're also unloading crap on unsuspecting people.
Well done.
Yeah.
I still think that
miniature Velcroed under each one of your chairs. Good luck.
I'll run a Hungry Hippos game.
Oh my God!
I'm sure they probably have it somewhere.
Dude, a Hungry Hippos tournament.
Yes, exactly.
That would be awesome.
People would come away bloodied.
Well, because you'd have to have the first of all, the game board would have to be bolted down. Because if you've ever played that, it's all over the damn
We've got it at home. My kids play it.
Go at it.
The board game
area has those things. Yeah. Not Hungry Hippos, I doubt.
I bet they do.
Maybe for the kids.
I bet they do.
Yeah, I can see Jason at a Hungry Hippos game with like 9 5-year-olds or whatever. Bam, blam.
Some guy sits down and he's putting powdered graphite on his lever arm for his hippo and on his jaw, so he slides better.
There'd be a cop there. Okay, who's this pedophile?
And he flashes the badge.
Right.
Ow.
Talking about learning new games, there's actually a website called Story by the Throat, which talks about a method of learning new games called the fluency method. It wouldn't work for like rules lawyers because the premise is that people who say they're fluent in something really aren't fluent in it, but they're just comfortable with it. And the whole thing is it's kind of the baby steps method where you take a concept of the game. Let's say the example that he gives is Attack of Opportunity in D&D. You make the characters and you run the game, but you're focusing less on rule crunch and keeping the flow of the game seamless, and that's the whole term fluent being it flows.
Fluid, yeah.
I'll link to it. It's really quite fascinating the way he talks about it. It's a
per session you take a mechanic and kind of focus on that, and anything that runs contrary to that you just kind of glaze over.
You glaze over it. Yeah. You don't introduce all the rules all at the same time.
Right.
No. You just kind of
we might have been doing that and not even realizing it.
I'm sure we have.
Yeah, that sounds like something.
I was like, how many times have we've been looking through, been playing a game? It's like, oh, by the way, I read last night.
Oh yeah,
we've been doing this wrong for 6 months.
Well, that kind of happened with Victoriana. It seemed like every week Eric would come back and say, okay, we didn't do this right.
Well, that's because the damn Pepperbox rules were completely screwy in my head, and just didn't make it.
I can't wait for the errata. We can take assurance that it was because of us.
We can believe that if we want.
Or we get into a Victoriana competitive game at Gen Con and all take Pepperboxes. And we would be those assholes of the D&D Open. Just blow everybody away.
Pepperbox. Boom.
I got some bad news for you. We got Pepperboxes.
Something Dan said earlier, though, if it doesn't work and you're doing it wrong, but it works for your group, why not go with it?
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, who cares if you're doing it right or wrong?
That's like an overwhelming thought process in a lot of games. The game master is supposed to be able to omit rules and things like that if it's good for the story.
Yeah,
now, it doesn't work real well with us because we have a tendency to go, that's not part of the rules. Our Monday game's really bad for that. If you try and do something outside of the rules and somebody finds that the rule contradicts that, then it's it says right here. Deuce is huge for that too. too. You know, and his group that he games with routinely,
they hardly ever play.
They barely play because they get into rules arguments.
Wow.
Yeah, and he said it before that, you know, it degenerates. They get like an hour into the game, and then it degenerates into 4 hours of bitch fest about rules.
I'm not onto this fluid mentality.
Yeah, there's no fluidity in that.
I'm all for it. I've got a. I think I sent it to Eric.
Sorry.
There's a little snippet thing. It's learn the rules, break the rules. Yeah. You know, once you know what you're doing, make it your own.
It's the story that matters. So.
Yes. Or it's moving things along like that. If you have a game that degenerates into an argument, you don't get anything done.
That's what I was about to say when I was almost interrupting you. Was it comes to the point where I think as you get more into being right than having fun playing the game.
I'd rather have fun than play it right.
Or like Deuce, he makes a character. I mean, he makes a character to break the game, but he's doing it within the mechanics of the rules. So when you start changing those rules, it changes the mechanic of how his character functions.
And he's also entertaining.
And if you
himself.
have but if you have a whole group of people doing that, you know, I could totally see how that happens.
Right. And so just to kind of quote this, the Fluency play, it says, the payoff of the word is the flow, a seamless experience where collaboration is natural and effortless, and the creative bubble isn't popped by head-scratching confusion and flipping through rule books. How many times have we played a game where we're running something and it's like, well, I don't know the rule for that. Let's spend the next 30 minutes looking it up.
Yeah. Very specifically spells. There's a lot of flipping through books for spells.
The one time I've played a caster in D&D, I played a warlock. Because it wasn't really a caster, I only had a few things to choose from, rather than having index cards of spells to keep track of.
When I played Boz, I had
that's what I'm saying.
I had the business cards, blank business cards with all my spells, and I would just flip.
Business cards or index cards?
It was business cards. There was business. They were blank, but I printed them all up and put them in a business card sleeve in a binder, and I would flip through them. They were separated by level and stuff like that.
Well, I guess something else that I try to do when I play is I try not to make it too complicated. If, let's say D&D, I try not to play a wizard.
Right. Wizards are complicated. Spellcasters are pretty complicated.
Shadowrun, I'm going to play a Sam, or I'm going to play a rigger, maybe.
Right. Or a physical adept or something like that.
So not necessarily easy, just low bookkeeping.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
Right. Because if you start playing deckers, that's when, or a mage, that stuff gets complicated. And then people are sitting there waiting for you to look up your spells or to look up the rules for doing this, or getting into the matrix and doing that. And I don't feel like learning that stuff, so I stay away from it. Never played a decker, never played a mage in Shadowrun. I've played wizards in D&D, but
I don't know where he got them, but Eric's got those quick reference cards.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Those are magic.
Yes, those things are great.
That is
for Shadowrun?
Wordman.
Yeah.
Wordman. He's an online, I don't even know where he's out of, but he makes the best Shadowrun material.
Quick
reference sheets, and he also makes character sheets that are fantastic.
I dabbled again in playing a mage a couple of Shadowrun games ago, and without those quick reference sheets, I never would.
Yeah, I just printed them off of his site and then took the self-laminating and laminated them, and they're perfect. You can mark on them and all kinds of stuff.
And speaking of wizards, since I'm reading A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin, I am more than ready to play a wizard.
The all-wizard campaign, baby.
I'm getting hyped.
Sure.
I'm ready.
Let's
go.
Mm-hmm.
I've been listening to the Dresden Files audiobooks.
Yes.
I've gone through 2.5 of them in 3 days.
I knew once you started, you would love it.
I could totally see why this is a game world people want to play in.
Yeah.
And the guy, Jim Butcher, the author, I went to his webpage. The first thing was a blog post about his LARP.
So Dan, me and you wanted to do a game the other day.
Yes, we did. After trying really hard one time and failing miserably, but finding out we were doing it right, but we were making it too hard. That's another problem.
What are you talking about?
Blood Bowl card game.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, learning card games or
I think that's the first time I actually
board games.
Looked up a video on how to play a game.
We played
video
it,
tutorial?
Played it, thought for sure we were missing something. Turned out, watched the video, we were not. We were just trying to make it a lot harder than it was.
With the
no one Games Workshop,
now,
I'm sure.
that is it's an option for younger kids. They could just go online, YouTube the damn thing.
Yes.
Right.
And bam.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about doing that because I own Arkham Horror.
Yeah,
and that game, and I know there's people out there that love that game. I cannot wrap my brain around the rule set, and I think if I watched it played, it would probably help.
Maybe we should do something like that at Gen Con.
It sounds like
Fantasy Flight has a pretty strong presence at Gen Con.
And I know they definitely have
they do
that
demos
game there. So
yes.
What are we doing?
Arkham Horror, the board game.
Jason,
You're
my angel.
And on that note, I think we'll call that